40 Jamb chemistry likely questions you need to know before writing your Jamb examination. These 40 questions are questions that frequently come out in Jamb chemistry examination. So please, if you have watched this video to this extent, please like, share and follow for more. For some of you, you might see these exact questions that I will show you here in your Jamb exam, while for some, it's either they change the question entirely but still under the same topic, or they will just change the way they arrange the question for you. So watch this video till the end. Question 1. The question states, what is the IUPAC name for this organic structure? Okay. To name this structure, we need to identify the longest carbon chain by giving the lowest numbering to the substituents. In this structure, we have one substituent of bromine and two substituents of chlorine. However, this bromine substituent and chlorine substituent are under the family of halogenoalkanes. And under the family of halogenoalkanes, chlorine substituents and bromine substituents are called, for chlorine it is called chloro, while for bromine it is called bromo. So we're going to start our numbering from here so that this chlorine and this bromine is going to collect the lowest numbering. Okay, then we're going to start counting. We'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This means there are 7 carbon atoms in the longest carbon chain. So under the homologous series of alkane, because this structure is an alkane structure because it has single bonds throughout. So under the homologous series of alkane, the parent name for this structure is heptane because we have 7 carbon atoms. If you have watched this video to this extent, please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. However, if we have 6 carbon in the longest carbon chain, it will be called hexane. Okay, it will be called hexane. If there are 5, it will be called pentane. If there are 4, it will be called what? Butane. If there are 3, it will be called what? Propane. If there are 2, it will be called ethane. If it's only 1 carbon atom, it will be called what? Methane. Alright. So the parent name for this structure is heptane because there are 7 carbon atoms in this structure. Now let's name the substituents alphabetically. So starting from bromine. Bromine is located in the 4th carbon locant. That is, it is attached, okay, to the what? 4th carbon. So it will be having what? 4-bromo. The reason why it is having hyphen is because to separate a number from an alphabet under IUPAC naming system, you introduce what? An hyphen. Now let's name the second substituent we have in this structure. If you look at this structure very well, we have 2 chlorine atoms. Okay, I remember chlorine is referred to as what? Chloro. So provided the 2 chloro groups are attached to the 2nd and 3rd carbon atom in this structure, it will be called what? 2,3 hyphen di. It is called di because there are 2 chlorine atoms there. Okay, there are 2 chloro groups there. If there are 3, it will be called what? Tri. If there are 4, it will be called what? Tetra. If there are 5, it will be called what? Penta. Okay, now there are only 2, so it will be called what? 2,3 hyphen dichloro. Okay, now the full IUPAC name for this structure over here is 4-bromo hyphen 2,3 hyphen dichloroheptane. So this is the IUPAC name for this structure. Hope this is helpful. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Question 2. The SI unit of temperature is what? Before we continue, what is the meaning of SI units? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Note that the correct answer to this question is Kelvin, option C. This is because Kelvin is the base unit of temperature in the SI system and it is used for scientific measurements as well. However, Fahrenheit and Celsius, that's also known as centigrade, are not the SI unit for temperature, but they are also used for practical calculations in our daily life activities. Question 3. Which of the following is not a property of a base? So before we continue, what is the meaning of base? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Back to the question, let's check all the options given and see which of them is not a property of a base. A. We have they react with acids and neutralize them. This is a property of a base. Let's check option B. They turn red litmus blue. This is also a property of a base. Let's check option C. They turn blue litmus red. This is not a property of a base. This is a property of an acid. An acid turns blue litmus paper red. So this is the correct answer because this is not a property of a base. Option D. They have bitter taste. This is also a property of a base. So the correct answer here is option C. Question 4. The maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a shell depends on which formula? Before we continue, how many number of electrons can S block accommodate? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Back to the question. Note that the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in a shell is given by the formula maximum electron is equal to 2n raised to the power of 2, where n is the principal quantum number or the number of the shell we are to calculate. Alright, let's solve a practice question. Remember that we have KLMN shell, okay, where K is the first shell, L is the second shell, M is the third shell, and N is the fourth shell. Now you can be asked to determine the number of electrons that M shell can accommodate. So to determine that, just know that the value of N in this formula, where the formula calculates the maximum number of electrons, is equal to 2n raised to the power of 2. The value of N is 3, because 3 is the number of that shell, that M shell we are dealing with now. So you say the maximum number of electrons is equal to 2 into brackets, that N, substitute 3 for N. So we have 2 into brackets, 3 raised to the power of 2. Alright, so you say it is equal to 2 multiplied by, that's 3 raised to the power of 2. First, resolve that first. Then we have 3 raised to the power of 2 give us 9. 9 multiplied by 2 will give us that's 18. So the maximum number of electrons that M shell can accommodate is 18. Hope this is helpful. Therefore, the correct formula to calculate the maximum number of electrons a shell can accommodate is 2n raised to the power of 2, which is option D. So option D is the correct answer to this question. Question 5. The question states the purest form of iron is dash. Now before we answer this question, let me see the answer to this question I'm about to ask you in the comment section. What is the chemical symbol of iron? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Note that nickel steel is not a pure form of iron, okay? So nickel steel cannot be the answer. Now, it is important to note that the molten form of iron from the blast furnace is called the cast iron or pig iron. Now, this cast iron or pig iron are known as the impure form of iron. Now, this pig iron or cast iron, okay, they are the same thing, just that they are just their other names to each other. Now, this pig iron or cast iron are then converted to what we call wrought iron. Now, this wrought iron is considered as the purest form of iron. So the correct answer to this question is option A, which is wrought iron. Steel is not the correct answer because it is less pure than a wrought iron. Hope this is helpful. 6. Balance the above chemical equation. Before we balance the equation, what is the IUPAC name for MgO? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Now, to balance this equation, we need to identify the number of atoms we have in each element in the reactant side and in the product side. Now, in the reactant side, we have 1 atom of magnesium and 2 atoms of oxygen. While in the product side, we have 1 atom of magnesium and 1 atom of oxygen. Now, you will notice that oxygen is not balanced at both sides, okay? Now, what you do is just add 2 at the front of magnesium, okay? Then add 2 at the front of MgO, alright? So if you do this, then we can now count the number of atoms we have in this equation again, okay? We'll count the number of atoms of the reactant side and count the number of atoms of the product side. So in the reactant side, we have 2 atoms of magnesium and 2 atoms of oxygen. While in the product side, we have 2 atoms of magnesium and 2 atoms of oxygen. Now, this 2 that is at the front of MgO is for both magnesium and oxygen. That is why we have 2 atoms of magnesium and 2 atoms of oxygen. So with this now, this equation is balanced. This is the correct answer to the question. Hope this is helpful. Question 7. The oxidation state of chlorine in potassium chlorate is what? Now, before we continue, what is the oxidation state of hydrogen in H2O? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Back to the question. Note that the molecular formula for potassium chlorate is KClO3. Before we solve this question, remember that the oxidation state of potassium, that is that K that is there, is what? +1. And the oxidation state of oxygen, that O3 that you see there, is what? -2. So we're going to substitute these two values into KClO3 and look for the oxidation state of chlorine. Since KClO3 is a stable compound, we are going to equate KClO3 to 0. After equating it to 0, just substitute your value straight up. So The oxidation state of potassium, which is this K, is what? +1. So you say plus Cl, that is chlorine, plus what? Into brackets. Now we're going to substitute the oxidation state of what? Oxygen, which is what? -2. Then multiply -2 by the subscript of oxygen, which is having a subscript of 3. Okay, so it will be what? -2 multiplied by 3. Alright, remember you put it into a bracket, equate it to what now? 0. Then we get 1 plus Cl plus into brackets -2 multiplied by 3. That will give us what? -6 equal to 0. So we say 1 plus Cl, then you say plus multiplied by -6. That is to remove that bracket. Then we get what? -6 equals 0. Collect like terms and add up. Then when you collect like terms, we have Cl, then that's +1. We'll go and meet that 6. Then we have Cl plus 1 minus 6 equals 0. Then you have Cl plus 1 minus 6 will give us what? That's Cl minus 5, right? So Cl minus 5 equals what? 0, right? Then take minus 5 across. Remember, we are looking for the oxidation state of chlorine. So we say what? Cl is equal to +5, because if -5 is going across an equal to sign, it will turn to a +5. Okay, so we have what? Cl is equal to what? +5. Therefore, the oxidation state of chlorine in potassium chlorate, that is KClO3, is +5. Therefore, option D is the correct answer to this question. 8. When heat is absorbed during a chemical reaction, the reaction is said to be dash. Let's continue. What is heat? Let me see your answer in the comment section. Note that thermodynamic, isothermal, and thermostatic are ruled out of these options. They can't be the answer to this question. So let's look at exothermic and endothermic. Note that exothermic reaction is a type of reaction that releases heat to the surrounding, making the surrounding warmer. So it doesn't absorb heat. Therefore, exothermic reaction is not the answer. So with what we've checked, the correct answer here is endothermic reaction, because endothermic reaction is that reaction which absorbs heat from the surrounding, which results in a decrease in temperature of the surrounding. So hope this is helpful. Like, share, and follow this account for more questions like this. Number 9. The question states the type of isomerism that exists in cis and trans is called. The answer to this question is geometric isomerism. Make sure you know the answer to this question. It's very, very important. It's a likely question in your examination. Question 10. Ethylene gas is responsible for dash of fruit. Now, to answer this question, you need to note that ethene, that is C2H4, is another name for ethylene gas. And ethylene gas, or ethene, which is C2H4, plays a crucial role in the natural ripening of fruits. So, ethene gas is responsible for the ripening of fruits. Question 11. What is the name of this cyclic structure? So, can you name this cyclic structure? Since we have single bonds throughout, this type of cyclic structure is under the homologous series of cycloalkanes, not cycloalkenes or cycloalkynes, because this structure has single bonds throughout. So if you look at it very well, you see that it has what? Single bonds throughout. So that's just what the homologous series where this cyclic structure can be what? Derived from. Now, to know the type of cycloalkane we have here, okay, to know the type of cycloalkane structure we have here, you need to count the number of carbon we have present in this cyclic structure. Okay, if you count, we have 1, 2, 3. You can actually count the number of carbon from anywhere you choose. Now you can actually count from 1, 2, 3. Okay, that means we have 3 carbon atoms in the longest carbon chain of this cyclic structure, and under the homologous series of cycloalkanes, that is the family of cycloalkanes, this structure here, provided we have 3 carbon atoms in the longest carbon chain of this structure, this means, or in that ring, this means this structure is a cyclopropane. If it has 4 carbon atoms, it's going to be called cyclobutane, but it has only 3 carbon atoms, so it will be called what? Cyclopropane. So the correct name for this cyclic structure is cyclopropane. Hope this is helpful. Question 12. The molecular formula of butane is. Now, to answer this question, you need to note that butane is a gas. It is used as lighter fuel, cigarette lighters, and in gasoline production in some manufacturing industries. It is a saturated hydrocarbon that is classified under alkane. That is why it has the suffix "ane" at the end part of it, butane. That's why it has this suffix ane, A-N-E. The molecular formula for butane can be derived from the general molecular formula for all alkanes, which is CnH2n plus 2, where n is the number of carbon present in the alkane member that we are trying to derive its molecular formula. Since butane is the fourth member in the homologous series of alkane, this means it has 4 carbon atoms in it, and this n here is going to be equal to 4. So you substitute the value of n, which is 4, into this general formula for all alkanes. Then we have C4H2 into bracket 4 plus 2. So we have C4H2 multiplied 2 by 4, we get what? 8. So we have C4H8 plus 2. Then we have C4H10. So the molecular formula for butane is C4H10. Hope this is helpful. Question 13. Dash is alright. If you have watched this video to this extent, please like, share and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you always see my content whenever I drop them. Dash is a solution that resists changes in pH when small amount of acid or base is added to it. The correct answer is buffer solution. A buffer solution is that which resists changes in pH when small amount of an acid or base is being added to it. Question 14. What is the formula for equilibrium constant? So this is the correct formula for equilibrium constants in chemistry. 15. The question states the state of randomness or disorderliness of particles of a system is called dash. Now, to answer this question, you need to know that the correct answer to this question is entropy, because entropy is the state of randomness or disorderliness of particles of a system. Alright, so this is the correct answer, entropy. Number 16. The question states dash is an apparatus primarily used for measuring heat of combustion. The correct answer here is bomb calorimeter. Question 17. The question states dash is a thermodynamic property that represents the total heat content of a system. Note that the correct answer to this question is enthalpy. So the correct answer is what? Enthalpy. Please note that. Number 18. The question states the apparatus used in the electrolysis of dilute H2SO4 is what? Now you need to know that the correct answer here is Hoffman voltameter. So that is the correct answer to this question, because this device is specially or specifically designed for the electrolysis of water or dilute acids in order to produce hydrogen and oxygen gases. Number 19. The question states what is the pH of 0.001 mole per dm cube of NaCl? You don't need to calculate anything here, because NaCl is a product of a strong base, which is NaOH, and a strong acid, which is HCl. Hence, NaCl is considered as a neutral salt because it is a product of strong base and a strong acid. And you need to note that since NaCl is a neutral salt, that is, it has no acidic or basic character. Like when we say acidic or basic character, it doesn't have OH minus or H plus characters, okay? It doesn't change the pH of a solution. Hence, it will remain what? Neutral, having a pH value of 7. Now, question 20. The question states pH plus pOH is equal to what? Just know that pH plus pOH is equal to what? 14. Okay? Always remember this. Don't forget this. pH plus pOH is equal to 14. The following steps are scientific methods except experimentation is a scientific method, problem identification is a scientific method, analysis is a scientific method, but open-mindedness, option D, is not a scientific method. So the correct answer to this question is option D, open-mindedness. Which of the following is a common laboratory indicator for bases? The correct answer here is phenolphthalein, because phenolphthalein turns pink or magenta when placed in basic solutions but remain colorless when placed in acidic solutions, and the pH of phenolphthalein in basic solution ranges from 8.2 to 10. So the correct answer to this question is phenolphthalein, option B. Question 23. The question states the process whereby salts react to water is called. Now the answer to this question is hydrolysis, or you say salt hydrolysis. Hope this is helpful. Question 24. The question states bases turn red litmus paper what? Before we answer that, let's move to question 25. Question 25 also states acid turns blue litmus paper what? Now just know that bases turn red litmus paper blue. Why for question 25 acid turn blue litmus paper red? Hope this is helpful. 26. The question states the type of reaction in which acid reacts with base to form salt and water is called. Now this type of reaction is called what? Neutralization reaction. Question 27. The question states the molecules in ice are held together by what? Now they're just trying to ask you the type of bond that holds the molecules in ice together. Okay. Now the type of bonds that hold the molecules in ice are called the hydrogen bond. Okay, they are called the hydrogen bond. Question 28. The question states the solubility of solids in liquid typically increases with increase in what? Now, the correct answer here is temperature, because when temperature is increased, this allows the solvents to be more effective. Okay, then it will now lead to this solvent now, they will now be entering into the solutes, okay, breaking the solutes apart. These solutes are what? These solutes are typically solids, okay, breaking these solids apart. Now if it is breaking it apart, now it is increasing what? Solubility, that is the dissolving rate of that solute. Solubility itself is defined as the varying ability of solutes to dissolve in solvents and form what? A solution. So just imagine, for those of you who drink Milo or Bonvita, now you will notice that whenever you mix this Milo or whatever with a cold water, you notice that it fails to dissolve, right? But when you mix it with a water that has high temperature, okay, it's what? It tends to dissolve, okay? Everything will just dissolve and turn to what? A solution like that. So that is how it is, okay? To increase temperature, and there will be an increase in solubility, which means what? Solubility means what? Dissolving of what? Solutes in solvents, okay, to form solution. So that your Milo now, when you put it in a cold water, it will not dissolve well as you want, okay. The solubility will be what? Low. But when you increase the temperature of that water, it will what? Dissolve totally or partially, anyone you want, okay. That with that now, that means when there is an increase in temperature, that means there will be an increase in solubility. Question 29. The question states the layers of graphene in a graphite are held together by what bonding force? The answer to this question is 1 hour force. 1 hour force. Question 30. The question states what is the shape of an S block orbital? Okay. The answer to this question is spherical. Okay. They are what? Spherical in shape. Question 31. The question states what is the shape of a P block orbital? The shape of a P block orbital is dumbbell. Okay, they are dumbbell in shape. Question 32. The question states what is the shape of a D block orbital? Okay, the shape of a D block orbital is double dumbbell. Okay, they are double dumbbell in shape. Question 33. The question states the phenomenon by which the collider particles scatters light is called. Now, just know that the answer to this is Tyndall effect. Tyndall effect. Alright. Number 34. The question states according to Antoine Lavoisier, hydrogen means. Now, according to him, he said hydrogen means what? Water producer. Right. Then he also said oxygen means acid producer as well. Question 35. Make sure you take from question 35 to question 40 very serious. Question 35 states sodium is extracted industrially by what process? The answer here is Dunn's process. Dunn's process. Question 36. The question states aluminium is extracted by an electrolytic process called. The answer to this question is Hall process. Hall process. Question 37. The question states sulfur is extracted industrially by. The answer here is Frasch process. Frasch process is the answer to this question. Question 38. The question states the king of all chemicals is called. Now the king of all chemicals is called H2SO4, okay, which means tetraoxosulfate 6 acid, okay, or sulfuric acid. Alright. Question 39. The question states the ability of carbon to form different bonds is called. Now the answer to this question is catenation. Alright, catenation is the correct answer to this question. Now, question 40. The question states what is the hybridization of alkane, alkene, and alkyne? You need to know this, okay? Know it before your Jamb examination. It is very, very, very important, okay? If you have watched this video to this extent, please give me a follow. Subscribe to this channel so that when next I post a new video, you'll be the first to receive the notification. Now, The hybridization of alkane is sp3, alright. The hybridization of alkene is sp2, and the hybridization of alkyne is sp.
Quiz Bend.